What we're going to try and do probably early next week is set up a space on Platform Voices. I think you're all registered on there,
Yep.
where we can upload recordings, any documents to do with the project and things like that. So it will be locked down so that only customers who are in the project can access that area. It's just an easy way of us sharing recordings and information rather than bombarding you with hundreds of emails that you then have to go back through to find information and things. So just to make you aware of that. If anyone's got any questions or concerns about that, feel free to get in touch with me after today. So welcome. Thank you all for joining us this afternoon for this kind of introductory meeting to our Asset Strategic Procurement Customer Group, which if anyone can think of a snappier title for that after tonight, please do let me know, because it's a heck of a mouthful. We're really, really pleased that you've all shown an interest in being involved in this group. So just some quick introductions. So I think all of you know me. My name's Rachel Edwards. I'm the co-creation and engagement lead within the customer engagement team here at Platform. We've also got Amber and Richard from Platform with us tonight, so I'll let them both introduce themselves. I don't know if anyone wants to go first.
I'll jump in. I'm Amber. I'm the Customer Engagement Manager at Platform.
Hello, everybody. I'm Richard Orders. I'm the job title Senior Category Manager, but that doesn't mean anything to anybody. So I just head up the procurement for the whole of this process and the whole of the property directorate within Platform.
And what an appropriate surname you have for somebody in procurement.
The facetious answer to that, Peter, is that I don't order anything, actually. I put the deal in place.
Brilliant. Thank you both very much. What I thought we might do, if everyone's happy with this, because I think I know everybody in this room, and I think some of you know each other. I've got that vibe, but I'm not sure everyone does. If everybody's happy, just to kind of introduce themselves and maybe give us a quick kind of one line about maybe what interested you about putting yourself forward to be involved in this group. So I'm gonna work my way around my screen because it's just the easiest way of me keeping track of who's said anything. So Barbara, unfortunately, that means you've got to go first.
Here goes. I'm Barbara. I live in Laos in the Wolds of Lincolnshire. I've lived here for just over 6 years. I'm involved with a customer voice panel and various other surveys and take part of all kinds of things. Went to the conference, been involved with the recruitment for various levels at Platform Housing. So that's how I've met quite a few people, which is great. I want to become involved at this particular aspect because I think it's actually so intrinsic to how Platform Housing is going ahead, and I'm involved with, as I say, customer voice panel, but we also discuss procurement as well. And I'm interested in how Platform see this going ahead and sharing that information as a group, but also with the wider Platform tenancy world as well. So any information is great. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Barbara. Peter, coming to you next.
Oh, right. Hello, I'm Peter Wiley. I live in Market Harborough. I have been here since January 22. I had just personal stuff. I was moved here by the domestic abuse team because I had brain surgery after having subdural hematomas and a bit of blue lighting around. Why am I? My background is for 13 years. Previously, I worked as a funeral celebrant. Prior to that, I did all kinds of different jobs, but before that, really in sales training, management training. I'm a writer. And why I'm on it? Well, I'm just nosy. Really. I'm 77. I try and keep myself busy, doing different things to entertain me, really. And, And also, it's nice to get the prezzies, really, frankly. You know, so.
Fair enough. Fair enough,
No.
Peter. Thank you very much. Chris.
Hi, yes. So my name's Chris Ridge. I'm still going to say I'm a pretty new member to the customer scrutiny panel because I am. I've not been with them for a year yet, so I class myself as new. I've recently finished a 25-year career with a housing and care provider, where we did all sorts of procurement and modernisations on retirement villages. And the reason I wanted to get involved in this project really is because I see the future of procurement being something that's closely linked to customer satisfaction from a reputational point of view, the standard of the work, the standard of the workmen or women. So I'm really keen to understand how platform will proceed with this, and if I as a customer can influence any of that, then I'm prepared to give some time to it.
Well, there's a huge question about the future of procurement that I don't think we're going to be able to deal with in 50 minutes. But we'll have a go to start the journey, Chris. Anyway, and sorry, Chris, can I just understand where you're based as well, please?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I live in Pershore.
Pershore, perfect. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thanks, Chris. Cavan.
I'm Cavan. I come from Cannock in Staffordshire. I'm a care and support worker, so we have meetings with social workers, etc. Previous to that, I was an health and safety officer for the company that I work for, so I got involved with that, and I was really interested. This is new to me, and I do like it. Yeah, it seems a great thing to do. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Cavan. Phil.
Yeah, sorry. My name's Phil. I'm based in Gainsborough in Lincolnshire. Been on the scrutiny panel for about 6 years now, I think. Also a community rep. Prior to that, I worked for the NHS in mental health for 20 odd years, and I managed residential homes as well for learning disabilities and mental health. The reason why I was very keen to do this was two things. When we recently did a complaint study on the scrutiny panel, one of the things that became quite apparent there was to do with external contractors. And how they were recruited and how they were paid and the standards and various things like that. And I saw this as an opportunity to follow through really what we'd actually done on the scrutiny project, if you like. And the other thing was, again, talking to local residents as a community rep. There was a particular case where a resident had been told that they could have a new fence, and 8 months later they were still waiting. I contacted the platform. They said, "Oh no, we've allocated the job to an external contractor." I contacted the contractor and said, "It's been 8 months. Why haven't you come and done it?" And they said, "Oh, because we've got a window of 12 months. Platform says as long as we get done that 12-month period, that's fine." Now this is going back 2 years, but obviously something like that isn't acceptable to the customer. And going back to what Chris said, really, it is about improving standards and customers' perception of what platform do using external contractors, that what they do reflects on platform as well. So it's just basically
sorry Phil, carry on. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say it's just a way of trying to improve the service across the board for customers and for platform together.
Yeah, I completely agree with all that. And I will just say is that 12 months is not acceptable to platform, let alone to our customers. Bottom line.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it was a couple of years ago, and it was genuine because the company actually sent me the paperwork through as well to have a look at.
Nice.
And it was quite frightening. What concerned me more than that, though, Richard, was the fact that the actual contract that Platform awarded was 8 foot short on this fence. The company came out and did it, and they stopped 8 foot. And I said to them, "Why haven't you finished it?" And they said, "Because we're waiting for authorization from Platform." To this day, they're still waiting.
Right. Okay.
We
will try to change a lot of that through this. Yeah. But as you appreciate, with the size of our business, trying to change some of the things can be very lengthy. So I will always be the pragmatist as best as I can in the room.
I think any step in the right direction is a good step.
But we'll make more than one step, I can assure you of that.
Can I just ask, Richard, how long have you been in post?
How long have I worked for the various entities of the business?
No, how long have you been doing what you're doing?
Oh, I've been in procurement 22 years. And I've worked in the housing business for 17.
And at Platform?
Well, since the start of Platform. And
Right.
so I start I can give you a bit of potted history in a minute if you want, when I do my bits,
I'll shut up again because I was
if it helps people.
No, sorry.
No problem. Thank you, Phil and Richard. Georgina.
I'm Georgina. I'm based in Tamworth in Staffordshire. The reason I joined was because I do everything else for platform. So I do scrutiny panel, customer voice, and I'm also a community rep. So I thought it's not really going to make that much of a difference adding something else to my list. I'm also a green champion, so we do that as well. But yeah, so.
Brilliant. Thanks, Georgina. Yeah, and it's great to have you with us and all the experience you bring. Pauline.
Oh yeah, I forgot what I was going to say now. Never mind. I'm so busy listening to everyone else. Yeah, I'm Pauline. I'm based in Worcester. I've forgotten how long I've been involved with certain things. Customer voice, done several things, several workshops, do lots of online, surveys. That's how I started. Then went on to the workshops. Quite scary, I thought at the time, thinking, I don't know if anything I have to say will be listened to, or, they might think I'm silly and talking rubbish. But no, it's nothing like that at all. And I just felt very valued and very listened to. I was involved in the making of the video about customer engagement.
Yeah.
I'm off to Gloucester tomorrow to a new development in Newent with all the MPs and other people, and trying to see if we can get them interested in setting up something similar to this, showing them the benefits of it.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Great.
Brilliant. Thanks,
Well
Pauline. And the last one is coming to you last, Mike. Last but not least,
Thank you. I know my place, Rachel. My name's Mike Hope. I'm currently interim chair of the scrutiny panel. Plus, I'm an involved customer across many parts of platform. My background is one of customer service for a great many years, and I see this project as something that aligns with, as Phil said, some of the things we do on scrutiny panel. And I would endorse what Phil said about customers' perception of third-party contractors, and it's about it counts for about 15% of final complaints. So anything we can do to move that forward will be great as far as I'm concerned.
Brilliant.
And I'm in Worcester, Richard. Sorry.
Thank you. I'm just about to ask that question, Mike. That's really good.
Brilliant. Thank you all very much. I know that took a little bit of time, but I just thought it'd be really helpful for all of you to kind of understand where everyone's coming from, and for us as well, to understand that. So what we're going to do for the rest of this session is I'm going to give a really brief kind of overview of from the customer engagement point of view, why we're here. I suspect with all the experience we've got in the room, I'm not going to be telling any of you anything you don't already know with regard to why customer engagement is important, why we want you involved. But then for the bulk of the session, I'm going to hand over to Richard, who's going to give a lot more detail about the project itself, how the procurement process all works, and where we see you as a group being able to really get involved in that process and make a difference. I want to say before we start, there's going to be a lot of information tonight. If anything isn't clear, if we slip into speaking in any kind of jargon, anything you don't understand, call us out on it, please. Absolutely shout out, put something in the chat. Don't be worried about asking a question about something that you might think sounds daft. I will guarantee someone else in the room is thinking the same thing. And when Richard gets onto the procurement stuff, me and Amber will absolutely be asking as many questions as the rest of you. So just please do, don't be afraid to ask questions, speak up if we kind of slip into that habit of speaking in housing jargon. So really briefly, customer engagement. You all know the customer voice is really important for helping us understand how we can improve services and how we can meet the needs of our customers. I'm sure most of you will be familiar with the Social Housing Act, which of 2023, which came into force April last year. So that puts an increased emphasis on kind of an expectation for us to be listening to customers, making sure customers are treated fairly and with respect, and involving you in decision-making processes. And that's, that's driven some real leaps forward in terms of how we engage with customers and what we want customers to kind of help shape. And this project is really directly linked to that. So the emphasis is on us having that more kind of structured and consistent approach to customer engagement that moves kind of beyond the traditional surveys, consultations on services that kind of already exist, services customers are already receiving, and into more opportunities for customers to be involved in a process all the way through and shape that process as we're moving through it, rather than just ticking some boxes at the end of that process. And beyond that regulatory requirement to do that, from an organizational point of view, there's the benefits of having customers involved in helping design processes is huge, because it means that the process, the service, whatever it is we're offering, if we're designing it with customers, it means that we're more likely to be getting it right from the start, rather than offering something and then having to go back and redesign it when we get to the end, start delivering it and realize that what we've got isn't quite fit for purpose from a customer point of view. So that's the basis of this project. Effectively, we started out with the customer survey that all of you responded to on Platform Voices to gauge customer expectation around having contractors come in to do work in your home, the expectations around that work. Alongside that, we did a survey that went out to customers who have received planned work, so kitchen replacement, bathroom replacement, some of those big planned works within their home in the last 12 months. And we did a slightly different survey with them to understand how they found that, what was good, what was bad. And the two surveys, the outcomes of that have been put together to help us really understand customer expectation a little bit better as we set out on this journey. But moving forward, we needed a group of customers who could work in that more in-depth way with us. And we realised that what we needed was some customers who would really understand that project from the start, so that you can feed into it in a really meaningful way. So that's what this group is really all about. We want to make sure you understand the project. We will be looking at putting on some training and working really closely with you, so you understand what's going on in the project and therefore can make really meaningful contributions to it moving forward. So that's kind of the basics from the customer engagement point of view of why we're here. I am going to hand over to Richard now, who's going to get into the detail from the procurement side of things and explain all of that in a little bit more detail. And then hopefully at the end we'll have time for any questions. So over to you, Richard.
Okay, thank you, Rachel. Yeah, I mean, look, please put your hand up. Please ask throughout this. As Rachel said, I'll really try not speak in any jargon, but unfortunately it does slip in every so often, so I'll apologise in advance. I think I would sum this up as driving change, right? And fundamentally, that's what we're all here to try to do. Drive change to help the customer at the end of the day, right? And you've got a far better insight than that in your working world and your lived in experience than I and the rest of platform will ever have, right? Peter was asking about me, a bit about me then, very briefly. So to the customers that live in Worcestershire, I also live in Worcestershire. I live in Malvern. I am currently in the Worcester office. You wouldn't normally see me here at the moment, but I am here for other reasons today. I have been in procurement 22 years, something like that, give or take. I've worked originally Forster Community Housing, then Fortis Living, and now Platform Housing. So I've been around this block a long time. I have a team in our direct procurement team. I have a team of 3 that reports to me. So yeah, we try to deliver a lot of change and a lot of benefit over the last number of years now. So I've sort of structured what I want to talk about into 3 sort of areas. A bit of an introduction to what it is. And Rachel said sort of procurement detail. I'm going to really try and not go into too much detail at this moment in time. How you can massively help, right? And then what the next steps really look like. So what is it? So I know this group's been entitled Asset Strategic Procurement Customer Group, right? For me, I would drop the word assets from that straight away, right? Because it's across the whole of property that we're looking to change. Yes, one of the biggest changes is what you will hear me refer to as Lot 1, right, which is the home investment and retrofit lot. I'll talk to a bit more detail about that in a moment or two, right? But this change goes across the whole of property, not just asset management. So let me sort of debunk that myth from that title from the outset, right? So this is picking up both asset management and platform property care across 6 different lots. So just a bit of detail. So there's 6 different lots that cover various different work streams, that will cover various different timescales and have obviously various different values put against them. Some of them are eye-watering figures that potentially could come out of this world over the life of the contract, right? So the 6 lots, the first lot, as I've said, is home investment and retrofit. So what do I mean by that? It's basically what Rachel was saying in terms of all of the home improvement works, the investment works, decent homes as we would have used to have called it. So kitchens, bathrooms, roofs, but we're also linking in the retrofit into this. So all the sustainability agenda, all of the solar panels, the heat pumps, the external wall insulation, anything like that. Because we've been very conscious for some time now that historically we would let 2 different contracts for that, right? And contractor A would turn up and do a kitchen, right? And then contractor B would turn up to do some retrofit agenda works, right? 2 different contractors in the same property at similar times, maybe a bit of a gap, but not a lot, right? Why can't all that be done at the same time by the same contractor? And we can control how that contractor both deals with you, and you can be absolutely huge part in how that will go about. And I'll talk about that in a little bit, right? But it's less disruption, right? And it's more of a controlled environment. And we're able to really control really assess the performance of the contractor, because we are aware, and we'll be very honest about this, and I will always be honest with you as much as I can ever possibly can, is that we haven't contract managed the contractors as well as we should have done, right? And that is very much a learning point that has been very clear throughout this. So this whole piece of work we set off on back probably summer last year, right? And we started by talking to a number of the current contractors, and I've already heard a lot of negativity about the contractors, right? And I get it. Some of them are better, some of them are not, right? That's the way it is. But if they haven't been contract managed by us, then how do we hold them to account, right? So what we are very much going to do, and this is one thing we can talk with you in more detail at the next meeting, is what do those KPIs, key performance indicators, truly look like, and how can we truly turn that into something that is manageable and monitorable even, right? And I know a colleague of mine, Tracy Owens, has done a big piece of work around the customer journey, right? And how that customer journey should work, and that's working alongside customers to build that customer journey. So the customer journey, and that's, I'm saying customer journey is a very broad brush statement there, is very much the Blackpool through the stick of rock, as they say, right? that is very much been a tenet of the whole of what we are doing throughout this. Sorry, I've gone off on a little bit of a tangent there. I'll talk through the other 5 lots quickly. So lot 2 is it's entitled Passive Fire Safety Works. So it's basically all the fireworks to blocks. So that could be new fire doors, that could be fire compartmentalisation works, that might be a bit of fire stopping, the whole raft of different works to make sure that the properties are as fire safe as they can ever be. And obviously following Grenfell, that's even more important than it ever has been before. Lot 3 is the electrical repairs, safety and repairs. So all properties should have, no, not should, must now have an EICR, so a certificate every 5 years. So an electrician must be going into the properties every 5 years to do the test and then doing the remedial works that are required off the back of that test, right? So that's lot 3. Lot 4 is what we call complex repairs and major voids. So what we're trying to say there, you know, when I said at the start is I get rid of the word assets, this is property. So this one is very much a property care related lot. This very much is around how do we get our current property care operatives doing what they need to do, and so they can get through all of the responsive jobs in as efficient way as possible. But the bigger stuff, so we sort of sum it up at the moment as sort of a £1,500 repair, multi-day, multi-trade, right? Or a £20,000 void. So one of the big voids, not a quick turnaround void, that we want to push out to a contractor, which has happened historically, but has never happened historically in a structured way, which is possibly why that fencing example was issued earlier, right? Lot 5 is the mould agenda coming out of ALAB's law. We've got contractors at the moment, but we want to re-energize that market. We want to get some new entrants into that market, and we obviously want to be not just compliant with ALAB's law as it is in terms of 2025, but also get ahead of the game for 2026, which with some new changes coming down the line in October of this year, right? And lot 6 is scaffolding. So that's really more to support our in-house contractor, PPC, but also will be available to be offered to both lot 1 and lot 4 contractors. That in effect sums, in high level terms, sums up what we are doing. I can go into a bit more detail about that if you want, but I just don't want to go take us down too much of a rabbit hole in the time we've got on some of this. I think I really want to sort of focus on where I really see the value being added from you guys.
Yep.
Yeah. Shall I keep going? Yeah.
Keep going.
Okay,
Please.
fine. So I think well, I don't think, I know. So we've had this, so we manage this project with under a steering group, a board arrangement, if you wish, which we meet every month for. And customer involvement and how we are going to do that full customer engagement piece has been a constant theme throughout that. And I believe there are a number of ways where you can add huge amount of value here, right? And I'll throw a few, and there may be others that you'll want to throw at me, right? But so it's product review, so it's about specification. So a lot of work's gone on in terms of standardizing specifications across platform over the various mergers over the last few years, right? But there's still more work to do there, right? And there's also more work to do so we can get a standard product that makes it as simple as possible for the contractor to do their job fundamentally, right? So there's definitely work around kitchens, for example, and maybe others that we'll want to be discussing with this group, right? I will go into a bit more detail about lot 1 in a moment, but the lot 1 procurement approach is very different to lots 2 to 6, right? So lot 1, we will be running what we're calling dialogue sessions, right? So where I say about this is an opportunity to drive change, this is also an opportunity to get to meet the contractor long before we're ever in a position where we'll want to be signing a contract with a contractor, right? These dialogue sessions, and the first one will be in June, will be over a few days. And those sessions will be in person. And at the moment, the way that I'm trying to plan this is that there will be customers at all of them, and your area that you're representing your locality. Sorry, one thing I should have said is for lots 1, 2, and 3, we are looking for 1 contractor per locality. Right, the other lots, there's more contractors because of the complexity of the works and the responsive nature of the works, or reactive nature of the works. So the areas that you live in, I'd hope you were willing to represent, as for Witham, Severn and Tame. And at those meetings, we want you to be in those meetings with you. So we have currently drafted, but at the next meeting of this, I would like to go through it in more detail with you. We've drafted some potential questions that we want to set the contractors as I'm calling them scenario questions, but for the contractors to go away and come back and present. And then that starts the dialogue then, and then it's a two-way street. Yes, Phil.
Yeah, I was just going to say, have you got a criteria for drawing up your shortlist of initial contractors?
Yeah, I'll talk about procurement process in a moment if you want.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to get too geeky into the detail, you see, Phil, but I'll talk about that selection process in a sec. But I get to so lot 1 very much will be about a dialogue approach. So we will need that consistency throughout. So there'll be a 2 rounds of dialogue, and there'll be a scoring process in between, right? But all lots, to go back to Phil's question, all lots will commence with, in old language, pre-qualification, right? I won't use the current jargon because I'll get picked up by people for using the jargon, right? But there'll be a stage of pre-qualification, right? And that is set against a whole raft of legal, technical ability criteria, right? And some scored questions. So some of those around the customer, some of those around health and safety, some are about management of subcontractors. I can't remember off the top of my head some of the other ones, but I am aware that when Doug Bacon, who's the project sponsor for this, came to, I think, Customer Voice back in January, one of the things that, when he was talking about it, one of the things that was clear that came back from you guys to him was that you want to make sure that all contractors are DBS checked. And that has been included as a pass-fail criteria, that they must commit to that as part of the pre-qual. Just to be clear, the pre-qualification process is only ever currently or looking backwards. It's never looking forwards. Looking forwards, we will do through the dialogue and through the tender process. Yeah. So it's setting a base level basically, and then what we are saying for lot 1, for example, is the top 9 ranks, so 3 per locality, will move forward to that first dialogue round. And then following the intermediate tender, we will then move on to, we will reduce that again from 9 to probably 6, 2 per locality, and then there'll be a second round of dialogue.
Sounds like the X Factor of contractors.
Doesn't it?
I don't ever want anybody ever to say beauty pageant, but it has been said to me in the past over the years. Yes,
I've seen some of your contractors. Nowhere near as a beauty pageant.
A beauty, yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see what comes out of this.
So will there be then a defined document with a checklist of criteria against which everybody is measured, including things like, customer referrals and past track record and etc., etc.?
Yes, I mean, as I said, there'll be a very clear requirements document at the end of this. But the advantage of the dialogue process is that we get to talk through with the contractors. So we get to learn a bit from the contractors as much as they're learning from us as much as we're learning from them. And then we'll go back and refine that requirements document ahead of actually the issuance of the tender. Yes, Mike, go on.
Richard, yeah, I can see the sort of the processing going down to a single operator for each of the areas. What's the risk factor on putting all their eggs in one basket? What's your backup plan?
The backup plan, I'll give you the backup plan. The backup plan is, some people were saying, if you go back 6 months, say, we want one contractor to do everything. It's like, no, can't do that, right? And Platform are making a big thing about localities model, right? And I'm a big supporter of it. So we're backing the localities model, and we're backing the localities model throughout the whole of these six contractors. That the neighbouring contractor can step in. That's one thing we'll build into the contract. But also we will have an opportunity to utilise Lot 4 contractors if and when appropriate. But you have got to appreciate that Lot 1 contractors, in effect, are the big boys, the big tier 1 contractors, in effect, that will be interested in this. And we've been speaking to a lot over the last 6 months, where Lot 4 are more regional contractors, so they won't be able to do things at scale. I don't think that's probably given you the total confidence, my answer, but that's the honest answer as we know it at this moment in time.
Okay, yeah.
But there's a lot of scrutiny going on in the background to make sure that the people that we take through are the right people and that they can commit. And they can commit to deliver the scale of works that we need to do. Look, we want to be going to market, especially if you talk about Lot 1, we want to go to market with multi-year programs already set, right? And those contractors are able to price against that multi-year program. Yeah, okay, it might be an up to 12, 14-year contract in total. However, we're not going to be able to do that. But at least if we can provide 3 years into the future, we can start giving them a certainty of order book. And one of the other things that we're going to be doing as part of this whole process is giving contractors, I guess, a preferred list of subcontractors, if you wish. So some of the good subcontractors that already work for us, we're going to give them the list to say, look, if you want to use them, we would support that. I appreciate some of you guys might not support that, right? But there are ones that we know are good and that we would support. There are ones that we don't think are any good, and we definitely would not be doing that. And we're looking to move away as much as possible. All of the current, and that's probably another thing I should say, all of the current contracts. So all of what I'm talking about is to go live on the 1st of April 2027. So pretty much 12 months to the day, right? That's the plan. That's what I've committed to, right? So all of the current contracts that we have in place have been extended or will be extended to that date. So we have continuity of service. There are some challenges that we've got at the moment to make sure that the programme for 26-27 continues as it needs to. So we're just trying to resolve some of those challenges as well as dealing with all of this. Yes, Phil.
Yeah, and I was going to say, with you extending the contracts for 12 months, have you put some sort of protective measures in and incentives for contractors as well? I mean, obviously, some contractors may not be kept on or taken on in 12 months' time, so there needs to be an incentive there for them to do the work to the standard that you expect over the next 12-month period, sure, isn't there?
Precisely. And look, we've sat down with all of the contractors a couple of times now and gone through the risks of this, and had commitments back. And okay, some of it you just have to take on word. And we have tried to, wherever possible, given those commitments of saying, there is your program for 26, 27. That's what we're contracting with you, and we're expecting delivery against. But as I said, there has been some challenges, and that's what I've already alluded to. So that's where we're looking to try and find other avenues for a certain couple of.
So it's like you're more going down like a due diligence process at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, there's been a lot of due diligence, Phil. I can assure you of that. I mean, look, we started this journey formally, if you want to look at it like this, back in late October when we ran a pre-market engagement event for a load of contractors, and we had something like 104 contractors over 3 days that we saw. Some are very small that will not be applicable, but lots of bigger and lots of regional players that will be really applicable for lot 4, possibly probably lot 2, 3, 4, 5, probably, right? And that was really positive and encouraging process. And because of it, we have really driven market interest in this, more than I think we've ever done with anything else from a platform perspective.
When you say one contractor to carry out all the work, somebody that supplies an electrician to deal with like damper, malta fit, extractor, fans, etc. He's not going to do outdoor outside work, digging and putting gravel down and cleaning mould off the walls, is he? So you need
but
one or two or three
contractors. Just to pick that up, Kevin, I would say we're slightly mixing up, using your example, you're slightly mixing up the work streams, right?
Yeah.
So if we've got a contractor that is contracted to do new kitchen, new bathroom, new roof and whatever, that's their responsibility, right? If the contractor's there to do mould works, that's their contracted responsibility. But using your ancillary works point, then we will they will be, so the lot 5 title is mould, survey, cleans and remedials. So they have to act within 48 hours in line with ALAB's law. However, that's to go and do the initial survey and initial clean. The remedial work, so for example, if there needs a new extractor fan, right, the ventilation work can be done whatever 30 days after that original visit, right, to try to sort the future proof the property in future for future. And the other works you're talking about, say an electrician doing that piece of work and then somebody having to do grounds work outside, that will be the responsibility of lot 4 if it's appropriate, because it might be appropriate that that's still delivered by our in-house PPC guys. Yeah, you just got to think about the scale here, really. And if it's multi-trade, multi-day, that will be a lot 4 contractor. So whoever that might be, and we're talking on lot 4 regional guys, not big nationals, right? Regional guys that have a vested interest in that area. Yes, they'll still need to sub out some of that work, but a lot of it they'll be able to deliver themselves. And let me be honest, lot 1, a lot of that will be subbed work, and basically we are contracting with a management agent in effect. Some of that work they'll do themselves and they'll do some of the surveys, but a lot of it will be subcontracting. So that's why it's so important to understand those contractors and get behind what they do and how they do it. And you guys get to meet them early and start to get a rapport and understanding from them.
Yeah.
Can I ask?
Because whenever I've done, sorry, Peter, just one final thing. Whenever I've done these sort of competitive dialogue approaches in the past, they've always been positive because you get to speak to the contractors earlier and you get to build that rapport. So when you actually get to more challenging times, let's say, right, it's a lot easier because you've already built that relationship and you've already built the rapport. Yes, Peter.
No, I was just going to comment on. I was involved in computer contracts, really, designing and installing management accounting systems and business processes.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we used to do was we would start the proceeding with their team and our team performing a psychometric test together. based around Belbin's team roles, so that everybody knew the psychometric profile of the people they were dealing with. So that if, for example, somebody was naturally a detail person who, suffered from, complete inaction through detailed analysis, and somebody else was a bit like me, which was just loose as a goose and would get on with anything without looking at detail, at least you knew where people were coming from when you had an issue. It was just a thought.
No, it's an interesting thought. No, thank you. No, I will. I'll add it back into the pot and see what people think about how we use it going forward.
It's good if you know who's a completer finisher and who's not.
Yes. Georgina.
I'll shut up again.
Oh, I'm struggling to hear you.
Sorry, I shut up again. I said
no. I was asking to Georgina to come in because she put a hand up, but I can't hear her at the minute.
Try again, Georgina. We can hear you now. No.
Oh, sorry.
If
Georgina,
you want
if
to,
you're able to put it in the chat, then we can. One of us can pick it up for you.
I think maybe your connection isn't coping, Georgina, a bit like mine, because you're a bit staggered as well on screen. So I don't know if that's got anything to do with it.
There are a couple of questions that Barbara's put in the chat, Richard.
Right, okay.
As well.
I just had a question. If you need to think about a contractor, hear me?
Yes. Sorry. Start that again, Georgina.
No, I'm just going to mute her. I think her audio is way behind her visual. Yeah. I think that's what she was trying to say earlier, and it's just come through. So I just muted her, not to confuse anyone. She's typing now, so we'll see it in the chat.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, Georgina.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think Barbara had put a couple of questions in about how much notice can we likely have of these in-person meetings. I think that was when you were talking about the dialogue.
It has decided to work or not work.
I can give you the anticipated week now if you want.
Yes, please.
So there's 2 rounds, as I said. So the first one is looking like it's going to be the week of the 8th of June.
Yeah.
And the second one's looking like the 14th of September.
Thank you. Thanks, Richard.
And that's very much hot off the press because I only just sat down with the project manager this morning. So
excellent. Nice to be in the know.
Sorry, was there a second question?
Yes. Rachel will have them.
Yeah, so the other question was, will the expected standards of some subcontractors be monitored by the main contractor or PHG?
Both.
Okay.
Is what I would say to that. We are going to draft a subcontractor standards document or something like that, that we're expecting people to buy into. And if their subcontractors let them down, they were letting themselves down from a contractor perspective, and that means we'll be recouping profit from them. So there is some teeth to the key performance indicators, which historically there hasn't been. So we are very much trying to add that teeth into their process.
Is there a team or people in place to continually monitor and scrutinise the standards of performance rather than waiting for complaints?
That needs to be part of the day-to-day management of the contractors, and as I alluded to earlier, contract management has been a problem. So that is something we are looking at from with an asset management hat on here. I'll just put that. I just need to be clear about which hat I'm playing at this point. But in terms of lot 1, the big home improvement works, absolutely, and absolutely that starts with the management within the localities
Yep.
under asset management.
Thank you. That
And we are
explains that.
very,
Thank you.
very aware of that as a concern and a problem. Mike.
Yeah, Richard, couple of things. One, for clarity, where you're talking about the suppliers that we're going to have, that really is only dealing with lot one, which is the bigger sort of criteria. Your, as you say, your bathrooms, your kitchens.
I haven't even got to talk to you about what I want you to do in the other lots yet, but carry on.
Yeah. So, you know, I was just picking up points from before about, you know, subcontractors and whatever, but the main contractors for pot one would mainly be working on, you know, your renewals of bathrooms, kitchens, windows, roofs, and that sort of thing. Should there need to be, I don't know, some groundwork done, that will be done from one of the other pots.
Probably, yeah. I mean, I don't know what you're referring to as groundwork in that sense, but
well, someone said earlier on about, you know, okay, damp and mold outside or groundwork and that sort of thing. But so what we're concentrating on is pot one, which is in the main going to be the bigger projects. Is that
You are in terms of that dialogue piece and then the scoring. However, if you were up for it, I absolutely want, I shouldn't just say I should say we absolutely want you involved in the scoring and scrutiny of the other lots. And one thing I was going to say, and I'll come back to Rachel in a second. I think, Mark, you had another point, didn't you, as well? So
yeah, the other thing was to pick up on Barbara's point about with the development of this process, are you have you built in anything like a supplier sort of monitoring package, i.e., you know, if they failed to turn up, is there anything set in stone? Is that part of the process?
It will be. It's still being built.
Okay,
is what I would say, and it's again something we can get you guys involved, because there's been a draft sort of KPIs and operational procedures and other different bits and pieces, and look, as you appreciate with this, there's lots of different bits going on, and it's just trying to bring it a massive jigsaw together now. One thing I was just going to say around the other lots is that there is a massive opportunity to get involved in the scoring of those, and specifically, so just across the piece, what I proposed to steering group a week ago was that there will be a ring-fenced customer question that's worth, can't remember, I told Rachel now what it was, 25%, something like that, of the overall quality mark, right? And the quality mark's very high, that only you guys will score. Right, you will score it for your locality, but you will only score. Me or my team can invigilate, right? But other than that, only you are scoring. So that mark is your score, it's your assessment, it's what you think of that contractor, right? And okay, we appreciate how well some contractors can write these responses versus how others can, and we can all be extraordinarily cynical in that world, right? But that's all we can assess on. So we get the question right, which we can work through together, and then you can assess it. As you appreciate, there's some things that we need to know, right, about how it's going to work effectively and efficiently, right, and how they're actually going to deliver against programs. Some of that you're going to be very much interested in as well, right? But some of it we can very much ring fence just to you guys, and only you get to be involved and score that question. There's no interaction, and there's no influence. Not that I think any of you will take any influence, but no influence from platform Big Brother, if you want to look at it like that.
Okay.
And that's very much how we're trying to play this going forward. But as I've just said, there's multiple different pits to this jigsaw puzzle, and we're just trying to bring them all together as much as possible. And it's a challenge. Yes, Rachel, sorry, go on. Ask me the.
No, that's fine. I was just going to jump in. Georgina's put a question in the chat, and she's just managed to rejoin us in time. So her question was about complaining about a contractor. Would they complain to the contractor or complain to platform? I suspect the answer to that is platform.
I also would think that, but I don't know is the honest answer.
Yeah.
How it will work, but I think it will be a complaint to us.
Yeah, absolutely.
We are very much asking them to have their own customer liaison officers. That will be a requirement within the requirement set. And there's also our side as well on that. So the complaint can go to either way, but fundamentally we want to know about it because we want to track performance, as I've said a number of times.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
No, that's fine.
I am gonna just point out that we are at 5 o'clock. I'm sure Richard's got a little bit more to say. So can I suggest, in the interest of time, if anyone's got any questions, either put them in the chat or make a note of them and email them to me, and we'll get some answers sent out to you probably early next week. I'm just conscious I don't want to keep anyone too long after the time we said.
So I've just talked about the scoring piece. The other thing to say is that the intention is that whoever's involved in this, we'd like to carry on, right? We want to carry on from a core group, quarterly strategic meeting. We'd like the customers to stay involved. So whoever you've awarded to at lot 1 home improvement works, right? You also get to see them, understand them on a quarterly basis after they're actually live, and start to see the data and actually see what they're saying and call them out if needs be, right? So we would very much like that continuation post procurement. And the final thing I just wanted to talk about was sort of next steps and timings. So as sort of Rachel alluded to at the start, we want to be providing training and support and guidance throughout this. Ultimately, you and the other customers that have suggested that they want to be involved, if you're still involved after you've listened to me bore on for 40 odd minutes on this, right, then we want you involved, and we want to provide that support and training to get you to a position where you feel confident to be able to go into a room with them or to sit down and actually assess their responses, be that across any of the lots, right? So that's the first thing to do. So we will look to try to arrange that. And also at the same time, we can start looking at some of these customer questions and how do we refine them and how do we build them so they're actually it actually means something, and you feel like you can actually get truly behind them and score them and then sign your name to them ultimately. And as I've just already said to Barbara, that the timescales, I've given you the ideas about when the timescales will be for those dialogue sessions. There will be also various other staging points over this next probably 6 months, well, a bit less than that probably, right? But everything really starts in earnest with the first notice, contract details notice, which we'll be issuing to the market tomorrow afternoon. So that will in effect start the tick on that. To go back to Phil's question about the pre-qualification, that will commence the pre-qualification. And then whilst that's out in the ether, we can start building up the customer element of this. And I think that's probably all I had on my pad, to the very brief notes I had to go through with you all.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Richard, for that. Hopefully you've all found that really helpful, giving you a bit more of an idea of what it is you've signed up for. So in terms of next steps, what we're going to do, I did circulate with the initial email about this meeting and availability form for everyone to fill in. I think most of you have filled that in. If you haven't, it'd be great if you could. So we'll use that, and we'll start to think of what sessions, what meetings we need to be putting in the next few weeks and the next couple of months, and then we'll start to send some information and some dates out, training, that sort of thing. So we'll start to pull that together and get that out to all of you. Like I said, we'll share a copy of this recording on Platform Voices, and you'll get an invite to that group next week. And we'll also put together a bit of an information sheet from tonight, so you can quickly refer back to everything that's been shared, because we've given you quite a bit of information to digest. So sometimes it's easier to just have something you can quickly refer back to. There are a few people who weren't here tonight that are hopefully going to join us as well further down the line, and we'll be in contact with them too. Is there anything anyone wanted to ask before we go this evening?
Yep.
Barbara?
Yes, just a logistical thing. We want the timings for when we're available. When are our meetings likely to be starting? Are we talking beginning April, mid-April, end of April? Rachel?
I'm hoping Richard knows more than I do on that one, if I'm honest, Barbara.
Okay, right.
No, well, not really. No. We will very much. This is starting the process, Barbara. I think I would say.
Okay.
We just need to work out when the next session will be. So
it could be 3 or 4 weeks' time.
Yeah, I would say back end of April would be probably
It's a personal thing I've got going on. That's the reason I needed to know.
No,
purely personal. Thank you.
Yeah, no. Back end of April, I would say it would be appropriate time for it.
Thank you. That makes a big difference. Thank you.
And we will. So we'll try and kind of accommodate as far as possible within everyone's availability, but we'll give as much notice as we can, and we will record all the sessions and make them available for people to watch back as well. Peter, I think you. Thanks, Barbara. Peter, I think you were about to jump in and ask something as well.
I was only going to say, I find the word lot confusing. Lot one.
Work stream?
I'm not sure what you...
It's just a way to split up the wider procurement. So I'll be procurement geeky for a second. Sort of in effect, we're calling this strategic contractors, right? That's the whole program that we're trying to deliver. But then how do you subdivide strategic contractors? And
can't you just call it group?
It's subdivided into 6 areas, which in procurement world we call
groups. Can't you call it group 1, group 2?
Well, if you wish, we'll call it group 1 for this. But
it's only me. I found the word lot confusing.
Right.
Because I was thinking of auction lots, parking lots.
Yeah. Well, it's a procurement lot in this case, but yes. Yeah.
So it's only me, probably not anybody else, but I found it confusing.
Thank you for sharing that, Peter. It's useful feedback. And I think perhaps when we've done a summary of the conversation today, that will hopefully be quite helpful for people to see sort of what's within those lots. We've been talking to Richard since about September time, a bit before from this, and I still have to scrabble around when Richard starts talking about the different lots, and he's just got it all in his head and he's able to reference it all, and I go, oh my god, which lot is he talking about? And so it's a lot of information. So yeah, I think having that just kind of brief reference sheet will probably be helpful as well, just to start to get heads around it. And
with some pictures.
Yeah, okay. We'll do what we
People
can.
like pictures.
Yeah, diagrams. And we're not expecting you to be procurement experts. We want you to bring the customer view to this, and
of course,
that's why we want your involvement so much. So like we say throughout, that feedback around, that word doesn't work for me, or whatever it is, just keep talking to us. So it's really useful. Thank you.
Brilliant. Wow.
Okay.
Thank you all so much for your time this afternoon. So we'll be in touch early next week with some of that information for you. In fact, I'm going to say at some point next week. I'm not going to commit us to early next week. I don't want to let anyone down. So we'll get all of that out to you next week. And if you have got any questions in the meantime, you've all got my email address. Please, and my contact number, please don't hesitate to drop me an email, give me a call. If I can't answer any questions, obviously I'll pass them over to most likely Richard. And we'll keep the conversation going, and we'll make sure that everyone understands everything they need to from this point on. Okay.
Hopefully you all found it useful.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay,
very much.
guys, I've got to go. I'll catch you all soon.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Take care,
Thank you,
everybody.
everybody.
Thank you, Richard.
Bye.
Thank you,
Thank
Rachel.
you.
Thank you,
Thank
Amber.
you.
Thanks,
Bye.
Barbara.
Bye.
Bye now.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Did you have a question, Peter? Did you have a question?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I
that's
just
all
wanted
right.
to ask one thing. Do you
Go on.
plan to set up a separate route for communication for us
I was just thinking about that.
online, rather than using,
Email.
the customer bit of the portal, and rather than relying on emails, would you create, for example, an area within the portal just for
Yes.
this, with its separate communication ability and so on?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we're going to do is we're going to create like they're called hubs within Platform Voices, and it's an area that will only people in this group will be able to access.
Right.
And we'll put all the information on there. So every document will go on there. So you can easily just log into that and find all the information in one place, rather than having to go back through emails, trails and things like that. So we're going to get that set up next week. And once it's set up, we'll email everybody with a link to that. But as soon as you log into Platform Voices, once it's set up, it will be there for you to access. So hopefully that'll just make it a bit easier on the communication front for everybody.
I was going to say that the nice thing with that, Rachel, as well, presumably we'll be able to have conversations as a group, won't we?
Yeah, we can set up like a group chat
Like we do
function
on
and that
Scrutiny.
as well. So you can have discussions with each other in that space as well, which is really helpful between meetings. So you can share ideas and things like that as well, rather than having to share lots of emails and things.
Yeah, good.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
I'm going to go then.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
Thanks very much.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.
See you next
Bye.
time. Bye. Bye.
Just gonna
Right, you happy?